Hi there, my name is Maru. I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial on how to get your music on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, and all the major digital platforms. For some of you guys who have never done this before, it can be a little bit overwhelming, but on this tutorial, I'm going to help you understand the process, which is actually fairly simple, and also choose the best music distribution service for your needs. All the major streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, etc. require that you submit your music through an authorized music distribution service. Now, you might have heard of some of these like DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, Lander, Amuse, Stem. There's a whole bunch, but you might not know exactly how it works. So all of these music distribution services work similarly in the sense that once you have your music and your artwork ready to be released, you pay them a certain amount of money to upload your music and artwork to their website. You set your release date, typically a couple weeks in advance, and then they take care of distributing your music and artwork to all the digital streaming platforms. Now, these music services not only are in charge of distributing your music, but they also collect all your money from streams, purchases, and royalties, and you'll see these in your account balance that you can then withdraw. So again, there's a lot of different music services and it can be really overwhelming when trying to decide which one to go for. So here are 5 things that I like to look out for. The first one being cost, commission, payment frequency, speed, and customer service. So number 1, cost is pretty straightforward. This is how much they will charge you to distribute your music, but more importantly, how they're charging you. Some services charge you per release, meaning they will charge you a set amount of money for every album or EP that you release, whereas some other services will charge you an annual membership and you can upload unlimited amounts of music. In my experience, I've worked with 2 of the major distribution companies, TuneCore and DistroKid. TuneCore was what I first used, and it was costing me about $50 to have one release up every year, meaning that I had to renew that release every year for $50. Now, I recently switched over to DistroKid because their way of charging is just an annual membership. I can have unlimited releases every year and just pay $20 a year. So I'm already saving myself $30 for just one release, and then I'll be saving myself much more money as I release more music. Number 2 is commission. Now, some services take a cut of your royalties or a percentage of your earnings. This will usually be explained, so you want to look out for this. DistroKid doesn't take any of your royalties. You keep 100% of your royalties, which is why I switched over to them as well. Number 3 is payment frequency and payment method. So some services you have to reach a certain threshold of earnings before you can withdraw your money. Others just let you withdraw whenever. And there's different payment methods like PayPal or direct deposit. I like DistroKid because it allows me to just withdraw my money whenever, and I can use PayPal as well. Another factor to consider is speed, and this is how fast the service is going to get your music out to all the digital stores. Now, regardless of the service you pick, it's always safe to allow anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks for the music to be released to all platforms. So that's usually a safe bet regardless of how fast the service is, but it's still something to consider. I like DistroKid because they pride themselves on releasing music 10 to 20 times faster than other services. Lastly, customer service. You can find this on their website. Do they have an FAQ section with all common questions? But most importantly, do they have an email you can reach out and ask any questions in case you're having any delays or any issues with your release? It's always good to look out for any sort of contact information in case you need to reach out to the music service. So again, those are 5 things that I keep in mind when trying to choose a music distribution service. If you're interested in DistroKid, you can sign up for their basic musician plan, which is $20 a year. This allows you to have unlimited releases every year, and your fee stays at $20 a year. Additionally, you can get 7% off by clicking on my affiliate link below. You'll also be helping me out by signing up through this link. So if this is something that interests you, you can grab 7% off by just clicking on that link. So now I'm just gonna walk you through a simple step-by-step process on how to upload your music once you have chosen your music distribution service. I am using DistroKid, but again, the process should be fairly similar in every other service. So you can still watch this to kind of get an idea of how to upload your music. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just make an account just to show you guys how it works. So again, I already have a DistroKid account, but this is just to show you what you see when you make one. So once you put in your email and create a password, it will ask you to choose between these three plans. So again, I talked briefly about the musician plan. So this is what you want to choose if it's just you as an artist or if you just have one band that you're uploading music for. And this will be the $20 a year membership that you can upload unlimited music with. If you have any more than one artist that you're using to upload music, then you want to choose Musician Plus. So for example, if you have yourself as a solo artist and you also are uploading music for your band, you might want to choose this plan, which is a little bit more expensive, but again, you get to upload unlimited songs for multiple artists. Now the third plan is Label, and this might be for a more specific use. So this is if you manage a lot of different artists or bands. Obviously, it's not just for people who run labels, but if you just happen to be in like a lot of projects and you upload music for all these different projects, then you'll be paying $80 a year. But again, I think most of us would be safe in choosing the basic musician plan. So I'm gonna go ahead and click continue. So again, this is going to ask you for payment, so you can pay for the basic musician plan at $20 a year. I'm not going to obviously enter in any information here because I already created my account with DistroKid. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump to the uploading process. Okay, so here I am on my dashboard for my DistroKid account. So what you want to do is, once you've signed in, you want to press the upload button here, which will take you to the upload music page. And this is how you upload music to DistroKid so that you can send it out to all the digital stores. As you see, it's not that bad. It's literally just this page that we have to complete. But I'm gonna guide you step by step through the process. Now, unfortunately, I wanted to show this with an actual single I plan on releasing soon, but it's not done. So I'm just gonna be kind of uploading my already existing EP just to show you guys how it works. Obviously I won't go through with it because it's already out, but just so that I can walk you through the process. Okay, first thing you see here is services. So this is the list of all of the stores that your music is going to be getting sent to. So first off, we have Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Beatport, TikTok, Google Play, Amazon. So these are the list of all the stores that DistroKid distributes music to. So next thing we're going to do is it's going to ask us number of songs. So if you're distributing a single, you select single, but then you have all of these number of songs that you can potentially upload. For my EP, I have 5 songs, so I'm going to go ahead and put that. Previously released, if this is new music that you're releasing for the first time, you obviously want to hit no. So artist and band name, my artist name is just my first name, Madu. Now, this is something that I really like about DistroKid that I haven't seen in the previous service I used. So it kind of pulls up a list of existing artists already in Apple Music. So it's saying there are 20 artists named Madu in Apple Music. Which one are you? So if you click on any one of these 20 Madus, it'll take you to that Apple Music profile. So this allows you to check to see if this is you. So obviously I'm not going to go through all 20 of them, but ideally, you will click through them, find the one that's your profile. I'm going to say mine is number 2. So you click on that. For Spotify, there's 7. I think I already checked this. I'm number 7, I think. Let me see. So I clicked on it. This is not me. Never mind. Let's try number 6. See if I can find my... Okay, that's me. So again, you can check through all of those if there are even existing artists under your name. Maybe your name is unique and you won't have this problem, which is pretty cool. So again, if there are already existing artists under the same artist name that you're using, then you want to make sure to go through all of these individual profiles and see which one is yours. I'm assuming you're uploading music for the very first time, so you don't have to select any of these because obviously you haven't uploaded music before. So you will put this will be my first Maru release in Spotify. Alright, so I'm gonna keep going. So this is where you set your release date. Now this is really important. Remember I mentioned earlier, no matter how fast the service claims to be at distributing music, it's always safe to allow at least 2 to 3 weeks of time for your music to get released to all of the platforms. Now this is saying setting your release date to at least 1 week in the future increases your chances of getting added to playlists. If it's important that your album goes live in all stores on the same day, click here for info. So again, I mean, you could set it just a week in advance to get placement on playlists and whatnot. I like to just at least give it 2 weeks, just because I've had that experience in the past where I cut it too close and then the day of the release date, my music wasn't available on Spotify, and that was a real bummer. So if today's the 25th, I'm going to set it for June. Let's do June 10th. Okay, so release date will be June 10th, 2020. You can also select a release time. If you want it to be like at midnight, you can just put 12 a.m. If you want it to be at noon, you can switch it to noon. That's up to you. Then it says time sync. This is for Spotify only. And this again is, do you want it to be at 12 p.m. at noon in the listener's time zone? This is set by default. Or do you want it to be just set to a specific time zone, like 12 p.m. in New York? So I'm going to set it to the default, whatever the listener's time zone is. Then you have the choice of adding pre-orders or not. This means like people can pre-order it before it's released, or you can just not let anyone buy it until the release date. This is up to you. If you're planning on promoting pre-orders and encouraging people to pre-order your album, you absolutely want to click on that. And then you can adjust the settings for when the pre-order date will start. I'm going to go ahead and not do pre-orders for this. Record label, if you have a record label that you're releasing it through, you can put it here. If not, it says if you're unsigned, make up a new label name. So anything you want. So I'm just going to put Maru Records. Again, that can be your choice. So next up, we have our album cover part. This is a really important part of uploading your music. Again, having good artwork could improve the chances of, someone clicking on your music because they like the artwork or whatnot. So this takes JPEG, PNG, or GIF files. And optimal size here is 3000 pixels by 3000 pixels. So ideally, you would have wanted to know this beforehand. So again, you don't want to be in the uploading stage right now and then realize, oh, but my art is not the optimal size, right? So this is something definitely to research beforehand. I got my illustrator friend to do my artwork, so she's familiar with all sizes and all that. So I remember Googling it in the distribution service I was using at the time, and it said optimal artwork is 3000 pixels by 3000 pixels. So those are the specs that I gave her, and she was just able to do it to those sizes. So once you have that, you go to choose an image. So I have it here. So once that's there, this is giving you a few disclaimers about artwork settings. So it says, don't increase the size of smaller images to make them bigger. This will blur them out. So again, you want to make sure that the size of the file is this. You don't want to stretch it out in Photoshop or anything, because even though you might get it to be 3000 pixels by 3000 pixels, it might not look the best. Another thing that's important about your artwork is you don't want it to have any sort of link or contact information on it. I know this might seem obvious, but it says, stores will reject artwork that contains a website address, Twitter name, or any image that's pixelated, rotated, or poor quality. They will also reject artwork with prices or store logos. So don't put iTunes or Spotify logo or anywhere on your artwork. Also, please don't reuse the same artwork for multiple albums. So again, these are just basic things to consider. Don't put any links or contact info or anything like that on your artwork. And lastly, you own this artwork and everything in it. So obviously, if you don't own it, you didn't pay the artist that made it or whatever, then you shouldn't be uploading it. Alright, so album title, that's the title of my EP. Album price, so I don't know if all distribution services ask you to set a price. I actually don't remember being asked to set a price with the previous distributor I used, but I might be wrong. But since it's a standard EP, I'm just gonna set it to like a standard EP price, $5. Language, English. If it's instrumental music, I don't know if this matters all that much. I do have one song that has vocals in it and it's in English, so I'm just gonna leave it at English. So now this is where it asks you to set a primary genre and a secondary genre. So primary would be, I mean, this is not very specific, right? And again, it's always hard to classify your music into a single genre, but I'm just gonna go with rock. And then I guess for secondary, I'm just gonna go with alternative. Why not? Okay, so next up we have pretty much the most important part. This is where you are gonna be uploading your individual tracks. So if you remember from earlier, I selected 5 songs, so I'm gonna start with the first one. So you wanna put your track name here for the first track. This is all important to take your time and read. You wanna make sure you're not making any typos or anything like that, because this will be the final title. If you have any featured artists in your songs, it says to put it in parentheses. So I would put, for example, my friend who sang on it. So here it says, looks like you may have a featured artist. Did you format it correctly? So it'll give you a guideline of how to properly do it. If you have one featured artist, you put it in parentheses like this. If you have multiple, you add the @ symbol and so on and so forth. So for this one, it's actually just the title, so I just wanted to show you guys how it would work with featured artists. So I'm gonna keep going, and then the next thing, once you've named your track, is of course you want to upload your track. Again, this is assuming you're at the final stage where your music is mastered and ready to be delivered. You don't want to deliver any music that hasn't been mastered, that hasn't been properly leveled with your other songs. So that's always something to kind of make sure you've taken care of before getting to this part of the process. So I'm gonna select the track, and then it asks you, did you write this song or another artist wrote it? So basically, is it yours or is it a cover? So I'm gonna say I wrote this song. Now this is where it asks you for the songwriter's real name. Real names, not stage names. So for example, my nickname is Maru, but I have a much longer Hispanic name, Maria Eugenia, so that's what I would put here. Okay. So, alright, so then it asks you, does it have explicit lyrics? Like anything with cussing or, I don't know, talking about death or whatever. In my case, no, so I'll just hit no. Is this a radio edit? No, the song is clean and it's always been. Is it instrumental? So this song is instrumental and contains no lyrics. 4 out of the 5 songs in this EP will be instrumental. And then preview clip start time. So this is when you preview a song and it gives you like a little snippet of the song. You can specify what time code in the song you want it to set as a preview, or you can just let the streaming decide. They will grab a little chunk of that song and preview it. I would probably take the time to pick the best part I consider of the song to be as a preview, but for now I'm just gonna let the streaming services decide. Now, track price, this has been set in relationship to the price I set up earlier where I put $5 for the EP, so it's splitting it evenly, $1 per song. You can customize it, but I'm just gonna leave it at $1. So now you are gonna repeat the exact same process with all of the other tracks. So again, we're setting our track title, making sure we're including any featured artists on it, uploading the correct audio file. Do this process very slowly, that's all I'm gonna say. Even though it seems simple, you wanna make sure that you don't make any mistakes with your track title or that you're uploading the correct track to it. So once you've done all that for all of your tracks in your release, we're gonna go to the very bottom here where we have the extras. It says optional but awesome. Alright, so I wanna talk a little bit about these because these are important. So these are just extra things you can tag on to your release that some of them are actually very useful to have. Some of them I think are very important. So Instagram and Facebook, that one's free. So this is basically allowing your music to be used in Instagram and Facebook. So if you've ever uploaded a story on Instagram and you've added a song to it, and you basically type the name of a song and it pulls it up. So this is what that means. You'll be able to find your music on Instagram stories and other people will be able to use them on their stories. So it's free. Now YouTube money. This one, for me, it's very important. And again, this is not a small amount of money. So these are decisions you can make on your own and evaluate it properly. I want the distribution service to collect money anytime someone covers one of my songs or anything like that, because it is your music and they are technically your royalties. So this will add on an additional $15 a year. So now we're about $35 a year, right? And again, this is optional. You don't have to choose it. I like to have it, so I'm going to click it. And then it just asks you a bunch of things about your music just to make sure that they're all in the clear, that you actually own that music. So basically just checking that, you know, you own all of your music, you're not using samples from someone else's music, that you haven't released this music previously with another distributor. Definitely do take your time and read through all of these in detail if you're going to click the YouTube Money option. Again, the YouTube Money extra is really just another form of revenue collection that the distribution service is going to do. So they're going to detect on YouTube every time your music's been used for a video or for a cover, so that you get a percentage of your royalties from that music, because it is yours. Up next, we have Store Maximizer. Again, this is optional. So it says DistroKid will automatically deliver this album to new online stores and streaming services as we add them. So as they become available within DistroKid, your music will get sent out. Now, I don't want to click on this one because I feel like, you know, I already covered most of my ground with all of the list of stores that are listed above, right? These are the pretty much the major ones now. So I will opt out of that, but that's not a bad extra to add. Again, it's $8 a year, so you have to evaluate whether that makes sense for you or not. Second to last, we have Shazam and iPhone Siri. So it says, make it easy for people to identify this album if they hear it playing on radio, TV, and stores, restaurants. So if you're at a party and you hear a song, you want to be able to Shazam it, and this will allow people to find your music that way. And lastly, we have Leave a Legacy. So this is a $50 one-time fee, non-recurring, so just once you pay $50. And this is if your card gets declined for the annual membership charge, or maybe if you pass away, your music will still be continued to be distributed, and you will continue to accrue 100% of your royalties. I don't check this one. If I die, I die. All right, so important checkboxes, and these are mandatory, and this is the last step before you hit done and you deliver your music. First one is, I selected YouTube Music as a store. So this is just them saying, you know, if you find your music on YouTube distributed through DistroKid, that's something you asked for. So if you go back to the top, YouTube Music is one of the stores you're distributing to. So second is, I recorded this music and am authorized to sell it. So just saying, this is my music, I can distribute it. I'm not using any other artist name in my name, so I'm not uploading my music under the artist Beyonce or something, I don't know. And then lastly, I have read and agreed to the terms of DistroKid distribution agreement. So I'm not gonna hit done because again, this is an EP I've already distributed, and this is just for tutorial purposes, but this should be the last step of uploading your music. Then it's going to upload it for you, and it should be out on the set release date that you set for your EP. So June 10, 2020. So yeah, that's it, you guys. Again, it shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. You definitely do want to take your time with it, though. Make sure you read through everything carefully. Double check your track names, double check that your audio track and track name match, that you didn't upload the wrong file or whatever. Super basic things, but again, once you are done with this process, it will go to the stores, and then it's very, very hard to change things afterwards. So definitely take your time with this part of the process, but that's it. That's how you get your music on Spotify, Apple Music, and etc. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching. DistroKid also has some cool features like being able to upload covers for an added fee. So what this means is you can just make a cover, upload it through DistroKid, and not have to worry about the licensing, about how the artist is gonna get paid. DistroKid handles all of the licensing and all of the kind of like the nitty-gritty of all that, so you can just upload your covers and you know you're set. So again, if this is something that interests you, you can click on the link below for 7% off. This is a sponsored video, but that doesn't mean that I'm only doing it because it's sponsored. I actually just switched to DistroKid because I found out that it's a much cheaper alternative for me. Again, just by switching over, I save myself $30 a year, and as I release more music, I'm only gonna save myself more money. So I hope this was helpful in guiding you guys on how to get your music up on Spotify and Apple Music and all the other stores. These are just things I like to look for in music distribution services. I hope this was helpful, and if you'd like to grab 7% off your DistroKid membership, you can click on the link below.